A very good morning to you, our viewers. The 10th of February 2022. Today is my son's birthday. He was born in the month of love. Good morning to you. This is the Camnet Breakfast Show. My name is Sharon Kalimbola, and as usual, we have quite a number of interviews lined up for you so that you're kept abreast with what's happening around the country. Of course, we will be zooming into some of the stories that made headlines, and one on top of those stories is the Mazabuka story where inmates or suspects are made to walk to court. What's your say on that? Kindly send us your messages and call us on each and every topic that you feel is very important or is happening in your community that you want to communicate to the authority using this platform. Once again, good morning and welcome to the show. I will be joined by Patrick a little later, and of course, Dr. Walika is already in studio and she'll be talking to us about cervical cancer this week. She mentioned yesterday that she is going to be talking about a cancer. So yesterday it was breast cancer and today it is going to be cervical cancer as the topic of discussion. You don't want to miss that discussion and ask those questions that you want to find out about cervical cancer. Of course, it affects women, but you as a man there can actually sit back and watch, listen, and advise your woman to go and have that test for cervical cancer. For now, though, let's just go straight into the morning's boost and see how we are keeping ourselves fit. And when we return, we'll be talking to Dr. Walika on that health segment. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to our morning boost, and remember always to try do this at home early in the morning before you start your day. This is not the main workout, but this is just to help you get started your day and keep fit. So therefore, let's go. We're gonna keep it easy today. We'll make some aerobics movements. Aerobics is good for you, for blood circulation, to control your blood pressure, and also to make sure that you stay fit. So we're going to make some basic moves in aerobics. Let's go. Very easy. We start with marching. Go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome to our show. Let's go. Step touch. Last one. Hamstring. Last one. Knee high. Last one. Lateral legs. Last one. We're going to put now all the four together. That's what we're going to do. Okay, let's go. Last one. And knee high. Last one. Stiff touch. Last one. Step touch. Last one. Knee high. And marching. Keep marching, keep marching, keep marching. We're gonna change now. 2 knee each. Let's go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Let's keep pushing. I know you feel like giving up. Check with your neighbor how many minutes you've done. Let's go. Go. 2 each. Now let's do it faster. Change. 1, 2. Four. 4 each. Last 4. 2 each. 2. 2. 2. 3 each. Go. And marching. Go. How are you feeling on your legs? Let's go now. March, 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 march. Keep marching. We're almost there. Let's go. March, 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 march. My producer is dancing behind the camera. I wish I can show you. Let's march. Let's go. Bring in a V step now. It was a pleasure doing a workout with you this morning. I look forward to another workout with you. Make sure stay fit and enjoy the rest of your day. This is Isaac Matsa, and guess what? I'm signing out. Thank you.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Camnet Breakfast. We are in our early minutes, and that was the morning boost to remind us of how we can keep ourselves fit. Dr. Volika, how important is exercise?
Exercise is very important. I actually walked 2.5 Ks this morning.
So you see, very important, very, very important. Like our president always emphasizes when he wants to make a point, he says very important. So ensure that you do those morning routines and just keep yourself fit daily, at least even 2 kilometers or 1.
Yes.
Yes, as long as it's okay. So today in studio we have Dr. Volika as usual, and she's talking about cervical cancer. To get started, Dr. Volika, what is cervical cancer?
Okay. So we know that where the baby grows is called the womb. So the cervix is the opening of the womb. So any cancer that starts in the cervix, even though it can spread to other parts of the body, is called cervical cancer.
So who is at risk of getting this cancer?
Well, since the cervix is found in women, first and foremost, women are at risk. But especially those who have had children before and those who are older. So it's the older woman who's had a number of children who is at greater risk.
I'm now thinking, what causes this cancer?
All right, a lot of research has been done, but what has been found is that most of the women who have cervical cancer are those who were previously infected by a virus called human papilloma virus. We'll simply call it HPV. So normally when you have this disease, which is sexually transmitted, the body treats itself, and many times you will not even notice it at all. But in other cases where the immune system is low, this virus can cause the cells around the cervix to become abnormal, and they may progress, and they will progress slowly, pre-cancer, until they reach the cancerous stage. So HPV is the main cause of cervical cancer in women.
So every disease and every illness obviously has symptoms. When you talk about cervical cancer, what are those symptoms?
Well, at the beginning, there'll be no symptoms at all, and that's why cervical cancer is known as one of the silent killers. There may be no symptoms at all because of the nature of the way the woman is made. But as the disease progresses, the woman will notice spotting or bleeding before or after her period. She may notice that her period is taking longer than normal. Okay? She may notice that the period is becoming heavier than normal. A woman who has stopped having her menses, who has reached menopause, may notice that she has started bleeding again. Other women will have an abnormal discharge, a foul discharge. This is when the disease has progressed. So these are some of the symptoms that a woman may have. But also a woman may feel pain in the lower abdomen, or she may feel pain when having sexual intercourse. Mm-hmm. The woman may also notice bleeding after sexual intercourse. That's because of the irritation of the affected parts of the cervix when the woman has it.
Let's talk about treatment of cancer. Okay. Do we have it?
Well, the treatment is there. And the wonderful thing is that if you're able to go early, this cancer can be treated. Okay. The biggest problem is that a lot of women go when it is too late. So the treatment is based on the stage of the cancer. Mm-hmm. Yes. So depending on the extent of the cancer, different types of treatment are there. There is surgery where those cells, the bad cells or the tumor, the cancer can be removed. This can also be added with chemotherapy and radiotherapy that prevents that cancer from now spreading to other parts of the body. So depending on the stage of the illness, surgery may be done where the tumor or the cancer is removed, but it is followed on with chemotherapy and radiotherapy, which are different treatments that will help prevent the spread of the cancer.
Just to divert a little, Dr. Valika, there are so many myths surrounding this removing of these, what you call them?
The cancer?
The cancer, yes. To say, no, you will not heal, you will not. Maybe just speak to that.
Well, for a woman who has gone to be checked and has been examined, the doctors will make a plan on the treatment. And they will know how far to go, how much to remove, and they will also make a plan on what treatment the woman will need after that. All these are myths and misconceptions. The doctors there make a plan based on what they examine and the diagnosis that they have made. So it is important for you to just seek professional help, and the important thing here is to go early, so that the earlier you go, the better, so that this cancer does not spread to other parts of the body. Because when it spreads to other parts of the body, it is quite fatal. As just to mention that, in fact, cervical cancer is the commonest cancer among women here in Zambia. Yes.
Does it affect men? Just as a rider.
The cervix is only found in
women.
Yes,
okay. So is this cancer preventable? If at all it is, what should we do to ensure that we prevent?
Yes. So cervical cancer can be prevented. And that's the reason why we are out here to raise awareness, because this is a disease that can be prevented. The important thing is for women to go and get screened. And when we talk about screening, we're saying even when you're not seeing any symptoms at all, you go and get yourself checked. Mm-hmm. And the professional nurse or doctor will be able to look at that cervix and see if there's any abnormality that is there. A pap smear can be done, or the test can be done, and once they notice something, they'll be able to treat. Either parts of those abnormal cells can be removed, or a part of the abnormal cells can be sent to the lab to make a diagnosis whether it is cancer or not, and then a treatment plan can be made for the woman. So the important thing here is for the woman to go early for screening. We have also heard of the HPV vaccine, which is now available in the country, and it is being given to young girls because we know that especially here in Zambia, our girls become sexually active quite early. So the vaccine is also available, but the most important thing is to go for screening. And once the screening has been done, you will be told whether to come after 3 years. But if your immune system is a bit low, for example, if you have HIV, you may be told to come more often. Because as I mentioned earlier, once the immune system goes down, the risk of getting HPV and cervical cancer may be much higher. So the nurse or the doctor will be able to tell you how regularly you should go and get screened. But the important thing is go and get screened so that you know whether your cervix is healthy or whether you need help.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Walika. Very, very elaborate as usual. Your passion for this job is just overwhelming, you know. Thank you for coming through to our studios.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
All right.
So that was Dr. Walika talking about cervical cancer. You can still go back to our live streams and watch and listen in and just make decisions on whether you should go or not. But every woman should actually go for this test and ensure that they live a healthier life. Good morning. This is The Breakfast. So join me on the other side with Patrick Soko.
And bananas. Working, waiting, this what you've been praying for.
Do you have an extra car? Then make yourself extra money. We would like to put that car, yes, that car parked there, to good use to make you extra money on the side just through its service while keeping it safe and secure. Call 0765023883 to register your vehicle with us today. Delpo Services. Service beyond satisfaction.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
We testify. We celebrate. For all you've done, Lord, we give you all the praise. Oh, we testify. We celebrate. Oh, Lord, we give you all the praise.
So this is the Camnet Breakfast indeed. It is the month of love, and like you see, I am wearing red in readiness for that vow day. And Patrick,
Is that a clever way of justifying your outfit today? Honestly.
okay, I don't understand why. Just say something. Come on, say something.
You're looking good.
Don't be a party
You're
pooper.
looking good. You're looking good. Are you happy?
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, women are meant to be flattered.
Nice dress, by the way.
Thank you. All right, I'm joined on set by Patrick Soko as usual. We are talking policy and politics. Today is Thursday, the 10th of February 2022. Patrick, we have quite a number of stories that we are zooming. And before you came on set, I was talking to Dr. Walika over the issue of cervical cancer. I could sense the agitation in you because you thought, that's in what cancer in it, cervical. But I mean, you're a man, so really, you can't have cervical cancer. Your time will come when she will talk about your own kind that you can have. But for now, though, just focus on encouraging madam or sisters to go for this cervical test. Otherwise, you are safe when it comes to that.
Interesting. Have you gone for the test yourself?
Yes, I have. I hesitated, but yes, I have.
Oh, good to hear. But like Sharon said, it is important that you go for cervical cancer screening so that you can be on the safe side to be able to understand your health status in as far as this disease is concerned, to be able to stay safe. So cervical cancer affects women like Dr. Varika area explained to us in this studio. And they have already talked about various cancers, and just as of yesterday, Wednesday, we were talking about breast cancer, which is equally an issue in the country. And also, she helped us prescribe some of the remedies you can undertake to prevent that and to be on a safer side. And let's just be sure that we take a proactive approach in terms of understanding our health as opposed to self-medication and assumption and consulting Google, because at the end of the day you may be consulting
Dr. Google.
a wrong disease. Probably, yeah, you may be Googling something that is not supposed to be Googled, and you and the prescription may be wrong. So it is always important that you go to the nearest health center and get the necessary information that you need to safeguard your health.
All right, for now we go straight into looking at how the money markets are trading with regards to business. And as of today, the Great British Pound is buying at 24 kwacha 96 ngwe and selling at 25 kwacha 46 ngwe. The United States dollars is buying at 18 kwacha 38 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 75 ngwe. The euro is buying at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe. And the South African brand is buying at 1 kwacha 20 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 22 ngwe. It actually looks like the Zambian kwacha, and that's the more reason why I'm blabbering. However, those are your money markets.
Interesting stuff there. So we've seen, Shalon, like that the kwacha has been in that trajectory now, but we are on 18. We were talking about 16
at some point.
Some weeks before, and we were talking about 17 last week, and we're at 18. We may be going to 19.
Growing.
We may be going to 20, but we hope that the kwacha will stabilize, because we need that to trade effectively and for our economy to function better. We need a stable currency there.
You know what I do when I finish reading these money markets? I just start thinking, say, I'm better to 100 euros. I start converting immediately. But that's a story for another day.
Interesting. Indeed, a story for another day.
Another day.
Well, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast Thursday edition, Governance and Policy. And just now we're going to zoom in one of the stories that we had in the main news. And this is a story on the UPND social contract.
The Zambian citizens Wednesday woke up to a shock after a story was carried out in a daily tabloid accusing the United Party for National Development UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda of having stated that his party did not sign a contract that they will employ anyone after forming government. The assertions have brought a lot of outcry on social media from the Zambian people, especially the youths, who the Republican President Hakainde Hichilema, while in opposition, signed a contract assuring them that his government will provide employment and opportunities once they ascend into power. Mr. Imenda has told the press Wednesday that the assertions labeled against him are not true, but that it meant his party did not sign a contract with any individual, assuring them that they will be given specific jobs once the party forms government.
I've never heard anywhere in the world where the people that are seeking votes from the workers, from the voters, come and sign a contract with the voters, because voters are in millions. The voters are in millions. So for one to come to a point of signing a contract with a million people and assure them that all of them will be given jobs, that would be unrealistic.
The UPND Secretary General further adds that, contrary to the assertions, he had spelled out how the UPND-led government was lining up programs that would enable youths to create wealth for themselves, maintaining that it does not regret categorically pointing out that government cannot employ everyone.
A vague question. So you did not sign a contract with the youth? Then I said, when you campaign, it comes out of a realization that there is something wrong that you are seeing in the country. The PF had mismanaged this country. The motivations of Zambians were, I believed, came from my point of view that they wanted to correct what was wrong.
With the UPND government having been in power for 5 months now, the youths and the Zambian people are still waiting to see what they were promised come to pass. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Welcome back. Well, thank you for staying with us. That we were just assuming that story, Sharon. It's an interesting story, if you ask me. When you talk about the social contract, I remember you covering that story pertaining to the social contract, where the UPND youths from the Copper Belt, they came to Lusaka to engage the head of state. Yes, and they were making an assurance to say President Hakainde Hichilema is going to take care of young people by providing jobs and providing various opportunities, limiting the issuance of licenses to Mukula cultivation to Zambians. Various pronouncements were made when the president signed that social contract. Well, and it is reportedly suggested that Mr. Batuke Menda indicated that he was the party was not in any social contract with anyone. So they were not going to be compelled to do A, B, C, D. But again, there was a justification. You and I know that already there's a social contract between the UPND, between the president and the youths. But there is actually, like he said, there is no social contract pertaining to assuring people to say, because if you vote on UPND, you are going to be given this kind of job. On that one, Mr. Batuke Menda is on point. But again, he was also claiming that the matter was being brought out of proportion. So you too can add your voice on this story to just give us your perspective regarding what you think regarding this story. Sharon, your perspective on this matter.
Perspective. Actually, like you mentioned, I covered this story when President H.H., then opposition leader, was signing this contract by the likes of the late Manenga. May his soul rest in peace. He spearheaded the youths from the Copper Belt, bringing them into Lusaka to just make the president sign. And he was a fearless man, a fearless youth who actually said, we need this contract. According to me and my understanding is that when you want to attend public office, you're not attending it for a specific number of people or for a group of people. So in this case, those youths from the Copper Belt wanted the president to sign this social contract on behalf of the Zambian youths, not specifically the youths from the UPND, because if we start going that route, obviously, this is what is going to create havoc in the country, because even these appointments that people are complaining about already, they will be within the party, but there are so many people that we are going through a lot of difficulties at that time, and we're hoping for liberation, according to them. And now that they are allegedly liberated, you start empowering people of your own in the party. It wouldn't be okay. So basically, my understanding is that this social contract is to the Zambian youths.
Yes, it was yes.
by the UPND youths.
You are on point.
You know, so really, this statement by the Secretary General Batuke Menda in one of the tabloids, that we didn't have a contract with the youths, that we didn't promise that we'll have jobs, and that's like backtracking from what the president had signed. But you know, in this digital world, it has really, really saved us and has saved a lot of people. People were there to dig out the information.
As usual, Sharon, I always tell people, be mindful of what you post today.
Exactly. So people were
there
used
against you.
The UPND then went out streaming everything and anything that was happening at their secretariat, and they forgot that this too was streamed, Patrick. So yeah, it was streamed even among various platforms.
Another aspect is that the governments are in an automatic social contract with the people by virtue of ascending into power. This is because there are human rights that we have as citizens. These rights, for instance, Sharon, the right to education, the right to freedom of assembly, association, everything, all these human rights we have. When a government is sent to power, it is duty bound to ensure that our rights are upheld as citizens.
Exactly.
So that's a social contract that you inherit by virtue of you ascending to power. You are supposed to, for example, a government has to provide social amenities. They have to be there in terms of stabilizing the economy. Everything. This is a social contract they have with the people by virtue of our national constitution empowers them to just be the custodians of ensuring that our rights are upheld as citizens, and that they're just representing our plight. So at the end of the day, they do have a social contract with us as the people of Zambia.
Indeed, you two out there can send in those contributions and call us in studio and just give us a comment on this statement that was issued by Batuke Imenda, Secretary General for the ruling party, and now just as a party, the UPND, where he backtracked on the social contract that was signed by President HH, then as opposition leader in 2020. So you too can have your say on this very important topic. Like Patrick said, by default, the president is supposed to take care of our rights. We have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Madam.
Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Thank you. My name is Patrick.
Yeah. The line is... Oh, please go ahead. The line is not so clear though.
Yeah, the issue of
All right. Thank you so much for calling us. Patrick, he is commenting on the story regarding the Secretary General for the United Party for National Development, Mr. Batuke Imenda, and he says Zambians are not foolish. They are watching this space. At least that is something that has come out very strong. Yeah,
you mentioned it, Sharon, on to say most of the things are documented.
Exactly.
Especially that it's difficult to backtrack or to claim no to something when you said yes.
Yes.
So at the moment in this digital era, it is the same with the previous administration.
Yeah.
They went round documenting everything, using their platforms. They streamed everything. So whenever something was not achieved, people always referred to the same platforms which they utilized to disseminate the information. So now these things are not only in the mainstream media. Citizens can acquire them via social media, and there are these social media platforms. So every time you are posting something on social media, just know that someone is keeping a record of that. And they may use it against you. So all the time, be responsible even a picture you post today, Sharon,
may work against me.
May work
time.
against you.
Oh my goodness. But we pray that it doesn't happen in those lines, because really, when you post a picture that is as innocent as I am, and then somebody turns it around, don't look at me like that. I'm innocent.
Because Sharon, one of the pictures I took with you to just market you, your potential future suit may actually say, actually, you are always with this boy, and I think.
Let's zoom into one of the stories that we took actually from Mazabuka,
exactly.
Patrick Soko.
Another interesting story.
Another interesting story. It's just, I don't know. Up to today, Patrick, I still don't understand why that would happen. Let's look at the story now from Mazabuka.
This may seem like a group of lads from playing community soccer. Alas, these are suspects from Mazabuka Correctional Facility walking from the court to the detention facility. According to the law, one is innocent until proven guilty by the courts, but the walk of shame the suspects undertake can equally be compared to a sentence, as it undermines their dignity. All this is due to unavailability of transport to ferry the suspects to and from court. According to Mazabuka District Commissioner Oliver Mulomba, the district has transport issues which results in the authority making them walk to the court. Mr. Mulomba was speaking when Director Spokesperson in the Ministry of Information and Media, Tabo Kawana, paid a courtesy call on him on Wednesday. Mr. Mulomba says transport challenges in all line departments in the district are historical, calling on the powers that be to look into their plight.
In ministries, departments, we don't have transport. It has been a challenge. More so, as you saw for yourself, Mr. Director, last night on that footage. For sure, at times like yesterday, our suspects, sometimes they don't attend court sessions due to the same. Sometimes it is raining. Sometimes, of course, there is no transport. How do you take suspects to cover 2 kilometers to the court premises? That delayed justice is justice denied. And we can't subject our people to be in custody for so long without their cases being heard. That's what has been compelling our officers to move suspects from correctional facility where they are being kept to the court for fear of trampling on their human rights, you know.
In response to this, Mr. Kawana knows with disappointment that the previous administration went all out to buy war vehicles at the expense of safeguarding the plight of vulnerable citizens, a situation he describes as heartbreaking.
Allow our inmates and suspects to be taken to court in such a fashion and made to take a walk of shame in public with handcuffs, that we must avoid that. The crisis that you have inherited in your district, and this is stemming from lack of priorities for our colleagues who were in the previous administration. I'm sure you saw that they prioritized, instead of buying our police and the correction services vehicles to use, they prioritized to militarize the police, and they bought these armored vehicles, big vehicles in huge numbers with a lot of machine guns and bullets, and we didn't know, we can't know whether they plan to go to war with the citizens, but it is inconceivable to imagine that a government could prioritize buying armored vehicles for the police, and all those bullets and all those tear gases and all those military wear to get ready to brutalize their citizens. When you look at them, uchitanga utamba film ya Rambo, kuti food zotetezera abantu, unotetezera vani. You are a government, you're supposed to look after the people. So that has created a problem, because just one of those vehicles is enough to buy 10 Land Cruisers.
In the end, a sigh of relief was seen at the district commissioner's face after assurances from the government official that line ministries will soon sort out the issue of transport.
Bring a message of assurance to you that I also had a word with Transport and Logistics Permanent Secretary Marusaka, who also assured that he's about to finish with the paperwork to procure vehicles as government for all district commissioners in Zambia. So I know that very soon you will receive your vehicle. I also bring a message from the Minister of Home Affairs and both permanent secretaries at Home Affairs that they are looking into the matter of transport for the police and the correctional services. The Minister and the PS Akafumba just finished doing the Southern Province tour, and they are aware of what is happening at Mazabuka, and I bring a message from the Minister that Mazabuka will soon, and very soon, receive vehicles both for the police and the prison facilities.
The treatment of prisoners in Mazabuka district contradicts the United Nations Nelson Mandela rules that are based on obligation to treat all prisoners with respect for their inherent dignity and value as human beings, and to prohibit torture and other forms of ill treatment. Sharon Kalimbola, Camnet News.
Welcome back. Well, interesting story there, if you ask me, but that story really hits me because if you ask me, that is inhuman. How can someone be subjected to walking to go and attend a court session? I think as a country, we need to be serious with some of these issues. We need to set our priorities right. And in the first place, why take people to the court if you don't have transport? And I think these are issues as a country we need to begin discussing. Yeah.
You know, Patrick, the district commissioner there, Mr. Mulomba, had mentioned that why the authority, you know, I just feel bad that the people had to walk. At the same time, I just find it a little bit funny because how do you make people walk 2 kilometers handcuffed, you know? And others, you know, it's just shameful, regardless. You know, I don't even know what to say. But the truth of the matter is that every one of us is innocent until proven guilty. And therefore, those suspects are still innocent. And while they're still innocent, they still need to be treated with dignity. Even if they were guilty, you know, according to the Nelson Mandela rules that we quoted, every prisoner needs to be treated with dignity and respect, because first of all, before they are prisoners, they are human beings, you know. So that human face needs to be placed there. However, the district commissioner there was categorical to say the whole district in Mazabuka, all line ministries and probably departments like the Drug Enforcement Commission, they don't have transport, Patrick, because sometimes they would go to maybe Drug Enforcement Commission, say, okay, give us a car, but they also don't have. They'll go to maybe Ministry of what we don't have, Ministry of Agriculture. They don't have a vehicle to transport these prisoners, these suspects from the prisons to the courts. However, what prompted that was that, according to him, justice delayed is justice denied. And people have
that's by fact.
Exactly. It's the fact. Morning, afternoon. Is it after morning, afternoon, and evening? Yes. It can't change. It's a fact. It's a fact. Using Trevor Mwinde's words. So, according to him, when you delay that justice, people will be denied whatever they can be denied. And transport, at being at the call of all this, they decided to say, these people cannot be kept here for long. Let's take them to court. They appear. If it's pleading guilty, they plead. If it's not, whatever. So that's it. I mean, in this COVID era, at the same time, keeping people in cells for a very long time or in jail, it's just something else.
For me, that's why, if you ask me, institutions like the Prisons Care and Counseling Services have been advocating for judicial reforms, and we need the serious judicial reforms as a country, because at the end of the day, the disbursement of justice in the country is not timely. No. So at the end of the day, like you stated, justice delayed is justice denied, because when you've been found with a case to answer, or you've been put your defense, your matter has to be disposed of quickly, so that if a sentence can be meted on time, you can save that sentence. If you are innocent, you can be released. As opposed, now we have a situation where people several of our citizens are remandees, where they are still going for these court sessions. Yet they are not being charged yet, but they continue to be in incarceration. And no wonder we continue to see a situation where these detention centers are usually filled up to beyond capacity, and that's something we need to ensure that we get rid of as a country if we are to talk about meaningful development. And talking about the same judicial reforms, it is about time we also ensure that we take care of our prisoners inside the prisoners, because at the end of the day, there's also that preferential treatment. Yes. If Sharon is not a high-profile person, there are those challenges that follow you while in detention. Yes, and these are issues we need to start discussing as a country, because what it is that you may not be a prisoner today, but everyone is a potential prisoner or a potential inmate, because due to circumstances that may be before you. So hence it is always important that to ensure that such facilities are well taken care of, to ensure that even if you are to find yourself in such a circumstance, you are going to be in a good condition. And I think that is the more reason that President Hakainde Hichilema has been emphasizing on this point, Sharon.
He's been a Mandela before.
He's been in jail.
He's been a Mandela before.
Yeah, so if you see, he has been able to understand how citizens suffer while in incarceration. So he's now looking at it on a different perspective to say, no, we need to ensure that these facilities are improved in terms of sanitation, health, just the general living conditions of the inmates.
Indeed. Patrick, well articulated there. So this is one of the stories that we are zooming in this morning. You too can call in and send us those messages and comment on the story. Do you think it's okay for people to walk from the prison to the court just to attend these court appearances? And how urgent is this matter, and how do you think is the best way to deal with it? The district commissioner is clear and categorical on this, and also director spokesperson in the Ministry of Information and Media, Tabo Kawana, who went to pay courtesy call on the DC just to ascertain this story after it was aired on one of the television stations. And he was very, very disappointed with the development, and the DC in that district did not deny this fact. He actually accepted and said, we actually need vehicles, we need help. But at the end of the day, a sigh of relief was seen, because he was promised that line ministries, the Ministry of Home Affairs was looking into this, and the Ministry of where are the prisons and the police for, you know, they were looking into this, and there will soon be given vehicles. And in the meantime, the DC promised to say he will use his vehicle. I'm just wondering where his vehicle was when those people were walking. However, like I always say, that's a story for another day, Patrick.
Yeah, a story for another day. Yeah. And I looking at one of the comments that Mr. Kawana made regarding the same incident, saying that it was an issue of misplaced priority.
Yes, yes.
Where you buy riot response vehicles, as opposed to vehicles that are, while you're buying those vehicles, you could also do a mix. You also add on those vehicles that need to transport prisoners from one place to the other. And Sharon, this remains a major problem, if you ask me, where sometimes these prisoners, their dates are usually adjourned on account of that lack of transport. Even in Lusaka, it is the same situation. So we really need to be serious as a country if we are going to talk about real development.
Indeed, it is an inherited problem, like they discussed, to say they found it, and hence that statement to say people were just careless in spending. They had misplaced priorities, because there's no way you go and buy those vehicles as if you are preparing for war, you know. And then Senga thing came in to say you're watching as if Utamba Fumi Arambo. That really made me laugh, and that you know, yeah, but I need to learn a bit of Nsenga as well, and just to be fluent in it, Patrick. You need to teach
talk to me.
But you and I, Patrick, are victims of these vehicles and these.
Yeah, I remember one incident at the Lusaka police headquarters when President Hakainde Hichilema was appearing. Okay, for me, Sharon, that was a sad state of affair. The conduct by the police then was something else, because while you and I and the rest of the journalists were trying to run away from the tear gas, that man was pointing us with a gun saying that you're not going anywhere. We told you to stay there, so you have to go back where you're coming from. And you're thinking there is a gun and there's a tear gas on the other side. So you can imagine that ordeal. And the tankers were all over the place,
hovering as if the country is at war.
Like you said.
And my four-eyed face, you know, it was, oh my goodness, that moment. 2020, December.
2020?
Yes.
Yeah.
2020,
This is
December,
the day when
23rd.
we lost two comrades, Nsama, as well as Joseph Kaunda.
Exactly, from the UPND. So we are just talking about some of the stories that we are zooming in. You two out there can equally do the same. Not only restricting yourselves to the stories that we are zooming in, you can also tell us about what's happening in your community. Remember, this is your show aimed at giving you a voice to speak directly to the authorities. Just now, we take a quick break. When we return, we'll be talking to our guest in the studio, who is a political activist, is it?
Dante Saunders.
Dante Saunders.
Camnet TV is becoming big and better. You can now watch Camnet TV wherever you are around the world, simply by downloading the Camnet TV app. With Camnet TV app, you only use less bundles. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
And bananas. Working, waiting, this what you've been praying for.
Do you have an extra car? Then make yourself extra money. We would like to put that car, yes, that car parked there, to good use to make you extra money on the side just through its service while keeping it safe and secure. Call 0765 02 3883 to register your vehicle with us today. Delpo Services. Service beyond satisfaction.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
We celebrate for all you've done, Lord. We give you all the praise. Oh, we testify. We celebrate for all you've done, Lord. We give you all the praise.
You're still watching Camnet News.
Justin, you've been reading news too much this week. I can imagine. I can only imagine. Well, you are watching the Camnet Breakfast with me, Patrick Soko, and Shalon Karimbula, who thought she's reading the news at this point in time. Well, in the studios, we've been joined by political activist, analyst as well. Mr. Dante Saunders is not new in when you talk about politics in Zambia. He's been there. He's always been here, and he's here in the studios with us today. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator, for inviting me to your program. Madam, thank you very much, and may I say a very good morning to all your viewers and your listeners. Thank you very much.
Thank you for accepting the invite as well. We appreciate you gracing our studios.
Thank you.
First of all, just now as we get, before we start a discussion, Sharon, we're going to zoom one of the stories that is trending in the news, and that's the story involving Bowman Lusambo, and it is a story where he's appearing in court over issues to do with properties. So we're going to zoom in that story because, again, as we talk about issues pertaining to corruption, we're going to be zooming a lot of those issues with in our conversation today. We're going to zoom in that story on Bowman Lusambo.
Nearly a month after being arrested by the Anti-Corruption Commission on corruption allegation charges, former Lusaka Province Minister Bowman Lusambo Wednesday morning made his first court appearance before the Lusaka's Magistrate Court to answer to the said allegation. Mr. Lusambo, who is the Kabushi Member of Parliament, has been slapped with 5 counts of corrupt acquisition of public property and possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime, contrary to Section 34(1), has read with Section 41 of the Anti-Corruption Act No. 3 of 2012 and Section 71 of the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crime Act No. 19 of 2010. Mr. Lusambo appeared this morning before Lusaka Magistrate Fide Samaundu, however, failed to take his plea, as the charges he is facing before court needs consent from the Director of Public Prosecution before the matter can be prosecuted. Allegations before court indicate that Mr. Lusambo between 1st May 2015 and the 31st of December 2021 in Dollar unlawfully acquired a property in the name of Frontier Management Service Limited. The property was later transferred to Ginesha Sony at a consideration of $880,000 for his own benefit. Further, that on the 1st January 2017 and the 31st of December 2018 in Masaiti district, he unlawfully acquired a certificate of title in respect to a property in his name. By acquiring the property in his name, the lawmaker allegedly obtained an exemption from paying the sum of $250,000 for the premium plot, which was later conveyed to Banchin Kwazi at a consideration of $150,000, an act prejudicial to the rights and interests of Masaiti Council. Further allegations before court are that Mr. Lusambo between September 1st and October 31st, 2021, while in Chongwe concealed property number HN 248 situated at Silverest Garden, valued at $60,000 United States dollars. The property, which is reasonable suspected to be proceeds of crime, is in the name of Nasi Natasha Manasseh, his wife. The matter comes up on the 9th of March for mention and possible plea. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Indeed, we will continue to track that story and many other stories coming from the court regarding our former government officials, and this time around it was Bowman Lusambo there, who's facing many counts of obtaining, having property suspected to be proceeds of crime, and investigations obviously are underway, and while he is appearing in court defending himself. So this was a story which Miriam did, and talking about, is it 3 properties named in his wife. So it's a lot of work. However, on set we have Mr. Dante Saunders, who is a political analyst, as introduced earlier before we looked at that story. Patrick?
Yeah, and we're just going to start bluntly with Mr. Saunders. Is the UPND government on course in fulfilling its campaign promises? You've been tracking the governments through and through. So far, they are 6 months in office. Your assessment?
Well, for me, I want to believe that, from what we are seeing happening, obviously, I think the government is on course. They are addressing the serious issues that were made, the promises that were made, and very serious promises as well were made. And obviously, you know, when President H.H. went into office, it was very obvious that he was taking over a country which the economy was completely in a mess. There's no two ways about it. He was taking over a country which, you know, we're talking about corruption and stuff like that. When you talk about corruption, it's a mild term. I mean, we were seeing plunder of the wealth of this nation. Plunder in a big way. Sabotage, you can call it if you want to call it that. So the country was completely down at its lowest. So to start rebuilding, you know, you need men and women around you, because it's not just a question of HH himself being in a position to be able to provide to everybody. So the people who are around him, you know, must be men and women who are capable, you know, and want to help him deliver to the people of this country. To take the mess out, to take the country out of the mess that he found it in, it was going to be a monumental issue. There's no question about it. It can never be done overnight. I mean, it took 7 years for PF to finally finish this country into pieces. So to ask somebody to rebuild it within days, it's just the height of impossibility. It can never work. But he's on track in the sense that he's dealing with corruption. He's trying to clean the civil service out, because a lot of people within the civil service are also frustrating a lot of his efforts. There's no two ways about it. And everybody knows that, you know, to clean the civil service is just not an overnight job. Every time you employ somebody, you want to move into one direction, you sabotage. Information is leaked and so on and so on and so on. Even dealing with issues such as corruption is a big, monumental problem for the party at this particular point in time. So many things has to be done. We need to revisit our constitution. You know, that is on track. And then how are we going to go about it? You know, the constitution, if you look at the constitution, all these years, you've had the same group of people on the review after review, and it's basically the same issue. So to come about with a new constitution driven by the people, for the people, and indeed with the people, requires, you know, a new group of people with a new ideas and stuff like that. You know, there's a monumental job. If you ask me today, Dante, would you like to be the president of this country? I would say absolutely no way. No way.
Why?
Because, well, I mean, you know, you have a monumental problem that you've got to deal with.
You can solve that problem?
Pardon?
You can solve that problem?
No, we can solve the problem, but it's not going to be an overnight issue. You know, you have people who are eager, they want jobs, they want opportunities and things like that straight away. It's not going to be possible. But it is, at least we are seeing a government now that is determined to pave the way for the future of this country.
Is the president putting in place the right people to help him drive his agenda? Because, like you've mentioned, there are quite a number of issues that need to be sorted out, but then he can't do it alone. He needs a cadre of people around him that share his dream. But is he moving towards that direction?
Well, for me, let me say that I still think that, you know, no matter who he puts at the side of him, as long as you have people like Lubinda and so on, even admitting that they have their own people still within the system, it's very difficult to be able to say that whether these people are advising him correctly or whatever the case may be. The only thing I can say is to those people who are around him, I think you have an opportunity to be able to deliver this country out of the mess that we are in. And I think we need to work in unity, not only amongst themselves, but I think it is important that they continue to dialogue with people as they move along, you know, the way. Dialogue with institutions such as yourselves. It is important. You know, you people play a very important part in the development of any country. I'm talking about the journalists here. You know, a good journalist is not the one that is going to agree with you all the time, but the one that is going to actually tell you this is the fact, you know, and tell you this is your problem. If Dante Saunders is not wearing a good suit today, tell me. So that next time I come, I must put on a better suit or whatever the case may be. That's a journalist's job. So we need to, journalists, irrespective of your position, whether you personally vote for a particular party, it's neither here nor there. What is important is that, you know, we need to use institutions such as yourselves to be able to reach out to people. Because if you take my view and you take somebody else's view, you put it on the table there, it is your viewers that will decide at the end of the day what is right or wrong, what they perceive to be right or wrong. But we need the platforms, so we need to look after journalists and so on and so on, and not just talk about it. In short, I think we need a very, very, very strong constitution that will deal with issues such as, you know, if you look at the economic plunder of the wealth of this nation. To me, I may shock you. I know Camnet TV, you people are very principled in terms of godliness and blah, 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 what goes with it. But let me tell you that from our point of view, I think, you know, capital punishment must be very, very highly considered for economic plunderers. I'm not talking about capital punishment to be brought in for somebody who steals my ball pen. No, no, I'm talking about plunderers, the wealth of this nation. Because you hinder the economic, you destabilize the economic situation in any country. So for me, I think capital punishment must be brought into the Constitution, and we need to deal with these so-called people if they are found wanting and they are guilty of plunder of the wealth of this nation. It's very important, and I think, you know, there's so many issues that we need to revisit in the Constitution that will take us forward. Right now, we seem to be plagued with a lot of Western type of way of thinking, you know, the way the white people think, the way Britain thinks, the way Germany thinks, the way America thinks. We need our own constitution. We need to enshrine a lot of our own way of living, you know. We mustn't forget we are Africans, we have our own identity. So in our constitution, we need to take all these things into consideration.
Talking about the fight against corruption, the opposition patriotic front has been perceiving the fight against corruption as persecution because most of their members are the ones who have been called to appear before these law enforcement wings, and they're the ones who are appearing before court, like in the case, the clip that we played earlier. Is that persecution, Mr. Saunders?
When we talk about you know, it's not persecution in any way. And I mean, for me, I think PF should be the last people to talk about persecution. They should be the last. They know what they've done in the past. So now today, when we are asking them to answer for one or two issues, they call it persecution. If it was persecution in a wide range, I'm sure you by now, or the madam here, you know, when people like you are called up for minor little issue, that becomes persecution. But right now, you have a case. You know, all fingers are pointing to you. And all that the law enforcement people are saying is, we want to know your side of the story. So give them your side of the story. I think, for me, a commission of inquiry, you know, like we see in South Africa, I think this could be a very good thing at this particular point in time, since we have a fast court track and so on and so on and so on. But we must protect, if we want this thing to be successful, we need to protect the whistleblowers. We need to have a situation where, you know the man is corrupt. You know that he has plundered the wealth of this nation. He gave you 10 million kwacha, you gave you 5 million kwacha. You know, people like yourselves must be able to come into the Commission of Inquiry and say, yes, I received 10 million kwacha from Dante Saunders. you must be protected. And Dante Saunders must answer for the consequences of where did I get the 10 million kwacha from. I mean, today the kind of monies that these people are blowing, it's unreal, really, honestly. I think I want to tell you that I'm not a wealthy person, but I am above, you know, in a sense that, you know, I don't live above my means, but I have what I need. And a lot of people were not in my position when they went into office. Never were they in my position. But when I compare what I have today compared to some of these people who just joined the government recently, you know, shall I say yesterday, all of a sudden they are floating in high.
The recently you're talking about, is this under the UPND administration?
Not only them, but you know, look, you need to be honest with each other. You know, when you are serving in public office, it does not give you the right and you know, to be able to amass wealth at the expense of the poor. In fact, even to go beyond that, madam, all I can say is that even when we talk about the Constitution, which is going to go alongside this issue, I think we must seriously think of a clause within the Constitution which can recall a member of parliament or recall a councillor who fails to deliver to his people. Right now, it's very unfair. The law is one-sided. I mean, you imagine, Parliament has a right to impeach the president. Impeach the president. But nobody has a right to remove a member of Parliament unless you are expelled from the party. We need to divorce the party from that of government. When I vote for somebody, I don't expect him to amass wealth at the expense of delivering to his promises to me in the Constitution. I think we need to be able to say that I've elected you, madam. I've voted for you because I believe in you, I have trust in you, I have confidence in you. And when you go into that office, say, it drives me crazy when I see you driving the latest Mercedes-Benz and blah, 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 blah.
Mr. Saunders, are you indirectly calling for a lifestyle audit before these people attend offices? Because truth is, when one attains office, they probably had businesses before. But then we start looking at them when they attend office. We forget to say probably they were not as bad as we thought they were.
Is the question about using their businesses to get a government contract also, Sharon, there?
Yes.
So, isn't that disadvantaging other citizens?
No. But then if I'm running a business, I'm also an independent person.
And you influence using your business to.
And now he's just listening to us.
You know,
he's just listening to us. So, okay.
Yes, no, madam. I think you are very correct. You are both correct in your own way and assessment. Let's put it this way: if you make your announcements and people know that you come from whatever sources you have. When you decide to serve public people, that is a decision you put to yourself because you want to serve society. So you put all your differences, all your money is one side, and you get in there to be able to serve society. That is your main issue. There's no two ways about it. You can't be running your business and serving the people in your community. You make a decision. Because if you think that your business is more important than your political issue, then don't offer yourself as a public figure. Rather, continue running your business. Because that is another issue that is bringing down the levels of our development in this country, is because so many people go there, and when they see they have an opportunity to develop themselves, they forget about everything, they concentrate on that. And then, obviously, they stop delivering to the people. That is why I think we must have the right to recall a member of parliament or a councillor who fails to deliver. I mean, if I have my MP or I have my councillor that's concentrating more on his business, I want him to concentrate on his business. Let him get out and go and concentrate on his business. Let me elect somebody of my choice. And you know, there's so many things wrong, even with allowing me to choose a member of my community to represent me in parliament or councillorship. People are now asking simple things. Do you need a grade 12 or you need a grade whatever to be able to stand for that particular position? You know, education is not going to provide me with the best leadership. The best leadership are those people that I have confidence in and I know they can deliver. Those are the people, education or no education. In fact, if you look at the kind of people that are very corrupt today, you find most of them are supposed to be educated. Doctors are doctors in yen, scientists.
The most educated.
Yes.
Because they know how to push the strings here and there.
You know, a simple-minded person who comes, you know, say like in the rural areas. We've seen this. I went through it. You people are still too young. You won't understand. When I look at the UNIP government...
We'll use history.
Sorry?
We'll use history. We will know about it.
You know, honestly, just imagine a Kaunda's government. He ran a government. Some of his ministers were barely able to sign their names. But look how well they performed. I can understand if you are saying to be a civil servant, you need certain degrees. Because as a civil servant, you are supposed to be my permanent secretary. You must be able to know what you are dealing with. And you know, that requires high education, yes. But a politician, come on. You know.
But don't you think also politicians coming from a poor background have also, in some cases, also undermined our ability as a country to develop, because they say this is an opportunity now for me to amass more wealth and be more than Mr. Dante, for instance.
But you see, look, you know...
maybe we should be putting them into a test to assess leadership qualities.
Well, for me, I want to look at it this way. You see, when you judge a country, especially foreigners, when they judge Zambia, they judge you by your leadership that you have. And regrettably, you know, I have to say today that please don't judge us by some of these people who are in office. You can't tell me 17 million people in Zambia today are corrupt or are plunderers. If I look at you and I look at you, madam, you know, I can see you are hardworking people. You're not showing me any signs of being corrupt. I don't know when you have the access to have the money there in front of you. I don't know about that. But
bring the money.
All I can say is, as I'm speaking to you...
We need that test. Yeah. Bring the money, please.
Yeah, will you see? That's the issue.
Interesting. So now, Mr. Saunders, talking about the issue of corruption while we are on the same topic, we've seen Mr. Mbita Chitara and his book, where he's documented the number of issues pertaining to the corruption fight, and where he has cited some individuals.
And also...
What do you think should be the way forward regarding this book?
Well, I think, look, I've known Derek for a very, very long time. I still call him Derek anyway.
I was wondering.
But in fact, we started MMG together in the 1980s, and so on and so on and so on. So we've been in the trenches for a long time and blah, 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 blah. And yes, he's come up with this issue. And it must be looked into seriously. He's made some serious allegations against the state. Mind you, a lot of issues that were raised actually by Mbita Chitara is not new actually to us, to people in the streets or people in the markets, dull as we may be. You know, I think some people underestimate our intelligence. For those people who are not educated, they underestimate our intelligence. They think we don't know what is happening. If you want to know serious cases, people going to court, corruption, blah, blah, come to Cairo Road. Go to, you know, go to the marketplaces, Matero, Chawama, and places like that. You'll be surprised what those people talk about. Just as you as a journalist, you'll be really shocked. When I want to know something or how to deal with something, I don't go to Intercontinental and go and discuss with lawyers. Those are my worst, people that I can go and try and get an assessment from. I go to a marketplace, I talk to ordinary people, and they tell me, this is the situation, this is the situation. For instance, on the last elections that we had, just here on your TV show, you had a lot of people who were giving you their views on what they think was going to be the percentages and so on on the elections.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm the only one that really assessed the situation, and I said, if PF gets 30% of the votes last time, they would be very lucky, very lucky. Yes, they got about 34% or 35%, and the balance went to opposition. My assessment was 100% right. Why? Because I'm not like a doctor in this and a doctor in or scientist. When you're doing your statistics and blah, 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 and investigations, I don't go to Pamosi Hotel or Intercontinental Hotel or come and talk to people smart suits like you. No, 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 my brother. I go into the markets where it happens. The voters are there. They are telling me how they see the situation. I base my calculations on what the majority of the people talk about. As just on a lighter note, I won't mention the radio station, but on a lighter note, I remember taking a bet with some very prominent radio station, and we put 300 or 400 kwacha on the table. I said, if I lose, take the money. I told the journalists, take the money. But if I win, I just want you people to contribute maybe 100 kwacha on top. That's all. And I won.
They contributed, they wanted.
Well, I told them you can have it at the end of the day. But this goes to show you how, polluted some of you journalists are, because that saddens me really when I think that all of you don't live in Pamayadi, Pamayadi, or whatever they call it.
Yes.
But you actually come from these suburbs, and you never seem to talk to the people in the markets. You just want to know what Dante thinks about. But what about Tembo that is there in the market, or this lady who's selling tomatoes? What do she think? So if you marry what those people think and what Dante thinks and what the lawyers think, those who are drinking at Pamosi Hotel and blah, 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 you put them together, you come to a picture where you can analyze, this is the situation. So for us, going back to the issue on corruption, we feel extremely bad about it. We want to put an end to this corruption issue and plunder the wealth of this nation. And if we don't do it, we have a government now that is ready to listen and ready to do things. We just need to support them to do it. If we miss the boat now, take it from me, Zambia is gone. It will be wako ni wako basis in the future. We will, as a nation, we are gone. There will be no coming back. And the next thing is just outright war. Brother will fight brother, mother will fight sister, daughter will fight daughter, just because you want to survive. We have a serious situation, and I think your first question alluded to how is UPND government doing. It all depends on the kind of support that we can give HH at the moment. If you find something is not going right, you must find a way to be able to get him to understand that this is a situation. Maybe some people are not telling him the truth. We don't know. Maybe some people are not telling him the magnitude of the problem that he has now. Because people are anxious. We want jobs. We are not beggars. And if you can't give us jobs, create opportunities. Create opportunities, and we'll grab opportunities,
How long should the Zambian people wait for these opportunities that many of the youths out there so desire? You are aware that the president won based on the youth vote.
Correct.
He's well aware of that. And one of the promises that he made prior to the election was that he will create a conducive environment for businesses to thrive. He will create employment for the huge number of people that are unemployed walking the streets of this country. How soon should these people wait? Because I'm not sure if you're on social media, but it's one of the platforms that youths use to air their grievances. And what is coming out now is a lot of frustration from a lot of people. What's your take on that?
Well, for me, I don't blame a lot of people for taking out their frustrations. But I think behind those frustrations, there must be a sense of some kind of understanding and responsibility that goes with it. Because to ask HH today, you took over yesterday, you promised me a job, give me this job today. I think it's a height of impossibility. As I'm saying to you that on the table there was a lot of issues that had gone wrong. And one is to sit down and, you identify this one, this. I think the creation of opportunities is there for us to see. The very fact that they've sent so much money directly to the constituencies mean there's some opportunities there already within the constituencies. Within the constituencies. I think the issue that, we are looking at empowering the youths. It's not possible that you can empower 17 million people one time like that day. But at least there's a start. And we are empowering the right people other than just empowering party cadres. You are looking at empowering communities in their own ways and blah, 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 blah. We see that working today. We see a situation where even our roads and development of our roads and whatever case may be, it's on target, they are moving, they have a way of how they want to go about it. So, shall I say that the platform has been set. It's a question of moving. Don't forget, he's not dealing with his own budget. He's dealing with somebody else's budget, and we are putting in. The fact that we're also being recognized now by a lot of institutions. This evening I'll be going to one of these institutions, where people are coming in now, people have investor confidence is back. People are saying, I think Zambia is the next place to go. Before, if you were a genuine businessman, I'm talking about the business community, I come from that background, by the way. They are seizing this opportunity now to invest because they know there's no corruption in it. In the past, there was too much corruption. Somebody comes here, wants to set up a business, you must be allowed to 10%, 20% goes out there, and so on and so on and so on. So all that is going now through the back door. Genuine businessmen are being encouraged to come in and report any form of corruption. So there's all those kind of issues. We are looking at the police being reformed. We are looking at judiciary and all these kind of institutions. It's on the table there. It's up to us now to encourage him or the president that you are not alone on this particular fight. I always say, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you also can contribute to your country or do for your country.
Interesting.
We are in this mess together, and we should not be leaving this mess for your other person, to your neighbor, to sort out. I mean, we are in it together. Let's work together to find a better way of living.
All right, we pick the score. Hello, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Yes,
Tell us your name and where you're calling us from. You're quite faint.
Yes, I'm calling from Governor.
Yes, please go ahead. Oof, the line is pretty bad. The line is not so clear. Okay, please go ahead now.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm saying of Mr. exactly what you say. He's saying, yeah, you can finish the corruption. I really doubt. When Mr. H.H. was asked about where he got the money, he did not answer it correctly. So how is he going to finish the corruption? It's very sad that my man is been supporting a wrong person. Why I'm saying a wrong? You see, the corruption which is in UPND today, you can't like it. So he said, no, they are going to finish the corruption. This is bad. It's not good. Yes, in here, they had their own situation. But today I can see today, it's really bad. If it can finish those the campaign of corruption, what about the fuel? What about other things which has gone up? Do you think is this a person to finish the corruption system? The answer is no. So really, we are very worried about this company. I'm very worried about this company. I don't know where they are going.
Okay.
If you tell me, let me convince you, saying the fuel will come down, even the everything, even the new how much? It's 145, 150. Okay? Here, if you go other places, it's more than that. But the thing is, how is it going to fight corruption? How?
Okay. So according to, before you go, according to you, what is the best way of fighting corruption? Did we lose him? Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's basically saying.
Yes, I got what you were saying. You know, basically, madam, you know, this kind of, I listen to people a lot.
Yes.
But really, honestly, I don't listen to some people that talk the same language as my brother has been talking here. I think we must understand that we are in this thing together. We are in this thing together. I've just said to you that we want to protect whistleblowers. If our, you know, in the PF government, you couldn't say things like that there without getting into trouble. I'm saying to my young man, I don't know whether it's young or old, whatever the case may be, that if you're saying that some people are corrupt in this government, please don't just say it. Mention the person. Dante Saunders is corrupt. This is what he has done. If you give me that kind of information, I assure you that that information will reach the president's desk because I've got evidence here. But you can't take evidence to go to him and say, you know, the corruption is bad in this country. He's going to ask you how, why, who, when. Those are the kind of questions. And we as Zambians, when we are condemning something, we must learn to condemn and qualify it, rather than just sit and talk. Because sitting and talking is not going to solve our problems. We need to be able to offer solutions to the problems that we are having today. And a solution is the one that you say, Dante Saunders has stolen so much or is corrupt and this is what he has done. Then we are talking about the solution being there.
Time and again, we've been talking about the issue of the Public Order Act. You've witnessed various governments come and go. And this Public Order Act has been used to deter opposition political parties. How urgent do we need to reform this law to ensure that even at a time when, for example, we have a bad administration in office, this law should be able to protect everyone?
You see, my young guy, should I say, young man, let me tell you, this Public Order Act was an act which is long overdue to be thrown away. It was brought in by the colonialists to stop you and me from even drinking whiskey, because we were not allowed to drink whiskey those days, just chibuku. That's what the European people said. If you give these people whiskey, it's not good. If you allow this person to go to a five-star hotel, it's not good. If you allow you and me to go into a butcher to buy meat when there's European people, even if there's just one European person in the whole of this butcher, you and me had to go through a window. So all of these acts were brought in by the colonialists to stop us from gatherings and blah, 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 to continue to oppress and suppress us. You know, we fought against that in the Kaunda regime. But I was horribly surprised, very horribly surprised to see that after we took over elections, that particular clause was never removed by the Kaunda regime. In fact, if anything, they used that particular clause to, I'm giving a little bit of history, to suppress the people like opposition who were Simon Kapwepe, Nalumino Mundia, and of course to suppress the people of Zambia that no more political parties. As I mentioned, we talked about Derek Chitala. The issue of forming MMD, the original concept, was made in my house, where Derek, myself, and quite a few other people sat down. We said, let us start a movement. And we started the movement. So a lot of people who talk about, oh, I've been in MMD from 1990. 1990, the game was over. We were underground. We already, the party was going.
As among the founder members, that brings me to another issue. Are you happy with where the MMD has ended?
No, of course.
In the political landscape, are you happy that it's no longer that viable, or because it participated in the general election and the performance was not like the MMD it used to, even when it lost power the first time, it was within the third position. But now, looking at the way it performed, are you happy as a founder member?
No. Well, I mean, when we, for me, let me say that one of the things that I think you must understand is you can never have a true democracy in any country if you don't have a strong opposition.
Mm-hmm.
And I always viewed myself to be that of, if I want to build a political system, you must have opposition to be able to move in. And right now, I think the problem was when MMD took over, we were hoping that UNIP could continue to be a strong party, but we saw them just go one way. And of course, in MMD, I think after the rule of President Mwanawasa, we could see the writing on the wall that MMD was doomed now, because instead of development, corruption and things like that, they started taking shape. And of course, that was the end of it. And then, of course, that's how President Michael Sata came in to the picture, that we were going to rectify the issues and blah, 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 mazokas and so on and so on and so on. And here we are. We seem to be getting worse. Because of this Public Order Act, for me, I think the Public Order Act should have been scrapped a long time ago, because we are giving the police, judiciary, ACC, DEC, all the powers to be able to do their work. And, if they do their work without interference from State House, I think you won't need the Public Order Act. Let the police decide. Dante is going to be having a rally today. Is it all right? Is it okay? Is it conducive? Can we provide security? Does he need security? All those kind of things. Let the police decide.
Right, you're watching the Camnet Breakfast, and in conversation we have Mr. Dante Saunders, who is a political analyst, just giving us history here, that he's been there since the formation of the movement for multi-party democracy, also known as the mother of democracy. So he's quite a vessel of knowledge with regards to politics and whatever has been happening from one government, from one administration rather to another, and now the UPND. So Mr. Saunders, are you happy with the kind of opposition political parties that we have? Because you've clearly mentioned that a strong opposition, a strong democracy is that with a strong opposition, because they will be able to offer credible checks and balances to the ruling party. Are you happy with the current status quo with regards to political parties?
Frankly speaking, no. I'm not happy at all with the opposition at the moment. Because why do I say that? They take advantage of the fact that they can sit where I'm sitting here today. And the first thing they want to do is castigate. In this case here now, it is HH, without castigating. In a political party, what you need is power. And how does power come about? Not by sitting here and talking to you journalists, but by actually going down there to the marketplaces. You build your party from up, going up. If a political party has got no people behind them, they are, to me, irrespective of how great these opposition parties, people are, the presidents and blah, 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 no matter how great they are, but politically they are nothing. And I mean absolutely nothing. They mean nothing to anyone. And I think the Kabwata by-elections says it all. People like to sit and talk, we. Who's we? Who's we? When you say we, you must talk about we from a powerful point of view that you are talking on behalf of people, not talking on your behalf. Because if you had people, they would tell you first thing, number one, can we build our party from the ground? And that is the issue that a lot of these people are missing today. They're great guys, they're great persons, they're lawyers, whatever you call them, they're great. But politically, they are nothing. Simply because they don't go to the ground to build a party up from there. Now, if you look at the party that I'm watching very closely and I'm looking at, and let me say that he's doing the right thing is, if you look at Fred Member's way of going about building his party, these people can learn a lot, man. You don't see Fred Member sitting here every day, no, he's on the ground, he's moving on the ground. I know that sometimes when I go to the markets, you'll find one or two people are definitely there for him and blah, 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 blah. He's building himself. So he will be somebody to reckon with.
In the near future?
Yes.
Okay. So, talking of political parties, opposition political parties, we've seen the UPND going into an alliance with these political parties and appointing some of the presidents for these opposition political parties. Isn't this weakening the democracy that you're so talking about with regards to opposition political parties?
I'm very glad you brought that point out, madam. I'm very glad you brought that point out because, you see, I look at this particular issue and I say that for the development of this country, we needed to get some names on board. I think it was important. But this does not mean that those people that have come on board or want to come on board tomorrow morning, for instance, should be able to be claiming themselves as we are so-called partners in something or whatever the case may be. But I think it's been a big eye-opener for all of us that is in government or planning to run government, that when we're drawing up contracts with each other, your party, my party, her party, when we are drawing up things together, we must, as I say, put all the cards on the table You know, I must be able to ask you, my brother, where are you strong? Are you strong in Matero? Yes. My sister, where are you strong? Are you strong in Mandebu? Yes. Okay, down. We've got there, you there, and blah, 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 and me, I've got all these other places. So let's put it together and you work a formula of how you're going to divide issues. You know, I saw one or two people coming of late. All of a sudden, they are given top positions, you know, somewhere within the, in charge of publicity, in charge of whatever the case may be. But they just joined yesterday. So, okay, well, you know, that's the way they want to. In a political party, all I know is that you form a political party with the intention of one day ruling the country because of your ideas and your ideologies. If not, then forget about it, man. Don't waste your time.
Your last remarks, Patrick, to him.
Interesting. As we wind down our conversation, I just wanted to get your perspective regarding how urgent do we need to do those reforms. You pointed out the issue of the Constitution and the Public Order Act. How urgent do we need to undertake those processes?
I think it's very, very important that we start, because the frameworks are already done. I mean, the president knows that people want a constitution, people want this, people want that, and I think he's already done like the frameworks on those particular issues. It's a question of now getting the right kind of people to be able to move into like the constitutional review committees and blah, 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 blah. It's got to put all those people into place so that we can start moving. You know, the first thing that he had to look into, you know, was the police doing their work, judiciary doing their work. We've seen that all being done. It's not 100% yet, but at least an attempt is being done. So we are moving in the right direction.
Thank you.
Patrick, your concluding remarks as we wind up the show.
Well, we've come to that time when we have to say bye-bye to our dear viewers. Well, we've been talking to Dante Saunders, a political analyst as well as activist. He's not a new person in the political fraternity. He has been in the news giving guidance on various policy and governance issues. And before him, we also had Dr. Varika on Camnet Health Talk, where she was educating us about cervical cancer. And we talked about the need for cervical cancer screening. Among other segments was the Camnet market. And we continue to bring you interesting topics of discussion on the Camnet Breakfast. And tomorrow we'll be back with another episode of the Camnet Breakfast with Prudence Shota and Miriam Kaimba, who are going to give you a breakfast for business.
Indeed, tomorrow is business for breakfast.
Exactly.
So, you know, Mr. Dante, Mr. Saunders, what I'm laughing at is the use of word blah blah blah.
Let's see how we're going to say our bye-byes as we talk about the blah.
Do you have grandchildren? Are they the ones that teach you the blah blah blah?
No, in fact, I've got great-grandchildren.
Is it?
Great-grand. Not only just, my grandchildren are all, I think they're even older than you.
Is it?
Yeah.
And so your great-grandchildren, the ones that teach you the blah blah blah? Because it's a slang for the young boys and girls, you know.
He's exposed.
I'm exposed.
Anyways, yeah, that's the word. So yeah, thank you so much for choosing Camnet TV. This has been the Camnet Breakfast, and like Patrick had mentioned, we earlier hosted Dr. Walika talking about cervical cancer. You may want to watch that on our Facebook page. Just go back there and look at that interview that we had. And also, we're just winding up our interview with Mr. Dante Saunders, a political analyst. And he's brought quite a number of issues and obviously a new word, blah, blah, blah. Thank you so much for watching Camnet TV. Good morning.